Hello, Kettle viewers.
Thanks, Bandes, and yeah, hello. I'm Kettle Pip, and welcome to another dungeon thing in Final Fantasy XIV. And this time, we're in turn 4 of the Binding Coil of Bahamut. And while Twinturnia is something that you'll eventually aiming to be going and throwing yourself at a million times over a few weeks, turn 4 is kind of the big stepping stone on the way there. This is kind of what you're aiming to clear, and then you know you've got the chops to do the last fight, possibly. And so every time that we've killed it over the previous few weeks,
if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
I've actually forgotten to record it on Fraps. And so finally I did actually press record, and I thought I would put this up and maybe try and talk a bit about the fight as it goes through. So it's not going to be guidey in terms of to do this specific phase you do this, with nice little cuts and diagrams and that kind of thing. I'm just going to kind of talk through the fight as we do it, and probably point out some bard specific-y tips as kind of, well, that's what I'm doing here, so yeah. So it's a multi-phase fight, and basically you're on a lift that's going down, and you'll have waves and waves of ads that you need to kill or manage to stay alive through before the next wave appears.
Our speed run. Oh my god.
And the best way to approach this fight is to break it down into its component parts and give yourself goals to achieve. So you might have a goal for your first evening in here, and
God, you and Snail.
and then slowly build upon your goals and eventually get through the entire fight. We found that food helped enormously initially, using potions, good quality potions really helped initially, and some of that stuff we don't quite have to use so much. Everyone's got a couple of bits of gear and things, but if you're first coming in here, don't kind of shirk on food and pots because they're really useful.
Alright.
Okay, so after the cutscene's gone off and everything's loaded in, your initial pull is a big bunch of bugs. And the thing to note here is that you don't need to blow through these as fast as you possibly can. You can just take them down at your leisure, really. And from a bard perspective, it's really important that you don't come out on the other side of this with sod all TP. So if you're getting unlucky on procs to get free Reign of Death, just sort of chill, and as I do, just hang back, let your summoners and your black mages and everywhere else kind of deal with the AoE, and just poink away at stuff and just slowly take it down. Because what you need to be ready for is the spawn that will happen immediately after the last of these bugs dies, which is 2 pairs of knights and soldiers. Now, the knights will reflect magic damage, so your physical damage has to kill those, so that'll be your tanks and whatever physical DPS that you've got. And the clockwork soldiers have a stone skin, which means that they don't take any damage from physical attacks until you pop the stone skin, like I've just done here. And you do that through the number of attacks that you do. So if you pop Barrage as a bard, you can burn through that stone skin and help out your magic DPS. And the reason that you do that is once you spot the stone skin, the ad becomes immobile and won't run around twatting everyone. And as you saw, I end up tanking it for the most part. So I just pop a parry buff and heal myself with second wind and rely on a regen or two. And it's generally okay. But this is really the first goal, is getting to this point. So getting to these 2 pairs of ads are down by the time that you get a big dreadnought spawn. And here he is. So that will start off being quite close initially. So I use foe initially to help us get through that, and then drop foe as soon as I think it's going to be okay, because I'm going to need that enough MP to run foe in a minute. So your dreadnought's going to appear. Don't worry about trying to stop it from eating the bugs. The bugs are going to heal it up, and they're also going to give it a damage buff. But you just have to kind of suck it up and deal with it, because the race at this point is to get the dreadnought down before another wave of ad spawns. And that's kind of the second goal with it. So your first goal, get through the initial wave and get the knights and soldiers down. Your second stretch goal, really get this dreadnought down before this pack. So this wave is a bunch of bugs and 2 spinner rooks. The spinner rooks are really annoying because they'll cast on the whoever they're targeting an ability called Pox, which will lower their max HP. So what our tanks tend to do is to just try and dodge around Pox when it's casting. And everyone else just needs to keep an eye out for it. And you need to AoE this pack down pretty damn fast, which is why I hung on to Foe and the MP to run it for that long. If you're a bard, I guess a tip is try and pick out the spinner rooks and help take them down a little bit faster. But again, really try and conserve your TP, because if you come out of this with no TP, it's horrible. And that's pretty much exactly what I do wrong this time around. I burn a bit more TP than I intended to, which puts me in a bit of a deficit for the next couple of minutes. So again, the next pack is Clockwork Knights, Clockwork Soldiers, and another Dreadnought that appears at the other end of the room. So basically your tank will go off and hang on to the Dreadnought while you plug away through the Soldier and the Knight in the same way that you did for the first couple of pairs. And while you're fighting these, you're going to kind of get the next pack spawn, which is going to be another Dreadnought.
I'll get the next die once the second Dreadnought drops.
And there's going to be another Spinner, which is the thing that does Pox, and there's going to be a couple more bugs, and more Soldiers, and more Knights. And this is kind of the last hurdle, really, dealing with this horrible pack. So use the time to get as much DPS on the Dreadnought, but then that pack's going to spawn and you need to deal with it. So the way that we'll deal with this is that I always pop Ballad at this point, because this is where the healers are going to start running a bit short on mana. I'll pick up one of the bugs and I feed that to the new Dreadnought. So you see, just turn around and eat it. And we limit break on the Spinner Rook because it's really dangerous and you want it out of the way as soon as possible. So we use Lau, who's our Black Mage, will limit break on the Spinner Rook, also hitting the right hand Dreadnought. Don't switch to the Knight and the Soldiers at this point. Actually get that second Dreadnought down, because this is a really dangerous place to be in. So as many debuffs on the mob and buffs on your tank as you can get are really good. So make sure things like Rain of Death are up. And you want to get this Dreadnought down as quick as you can, because this is kind of this is the bit where tanks sometimes just drop dead. Once that first Dreadnought's down, you're left with a Clockwork Bug, a Soldier, and a Knight, and you essentially deal with those in the same way that you have the others, except that I'm not going to end up chunking the Soldier for this pack, so I just nuke down the Knight. The magic DPS will go in on the Soldier. And we don't actually want to waste time by killing the bug. We're just going to feed the bug to the Dreadnought.
Over when you can.
I've been the bug.
So with the Soldier and the Knight down, we're just left with the Dreadnought. We feed the bug and then we stack up. Because not long after this, the enrage for the fight's going to happen, and huge AoE is going to be happening on the entire group. As we're reasonably quick at this now, we might get the kill before the enrage, or we might get a few ticks of the enrage, but when you're first getting to this point, it's going to be really exciting, because you're going to have AoE on the group everywhere, the healers are going to be healing their asses off, and it's just a race to kill the Dreadnought before the AoE kills you.
Shibi, do you want to help just DPS?
Sure.
And we actually managed to kill it before the rage even started, which is kind of the quickest I think that we've ever done it. So there we go. That's turn 4. It's one of the best fights to have downed so far in Final Fantasy XIV. It's a moment. And something was clearly bugged in this instance of Coil, because it actually dropped Bard loot.
What is this?
What are these bizarro...
This is the first time that we've ever seen Bard loot in the instance, so I was a little bit excited. Anyway, I hope that was something that you were able to follow or was listenable, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you when we've got a Twintania video at some point in the next 10 years. Bye bye!